Hi everybody, I'm Jake here with DmaxStore. Today we've got something special for you guys. We've got Anthony from Duramax Tuner, and we're going to talk about you guys' all-new Stealth STR Turbo. So Anthony, do you want to tell us a little bit about the product in general and what kind of brought this to market?
The Stealth STR has been something we've kind of been brewing for a little bit. You guys offer it on our L5P lineup. We do a lot of it on the Cummins. And then naturally, it was kind of something that we wanted to bring to other RPOs. I mean, just having it on the L5P, we're leaving out everyone from LOYs, LBZs, LMMs, and then LMLs. And with the success and the support, I should say, and kind of the feedback we've had with customers for the L5Ps, we knew naturally that it was just, something that was shortly to come to get to the VVT and the LML guys as well.
That's awesome. And so being a Stealth STR Turbo, what does that kind of mean for customers when they're seeing Stealth 64, Stealth STR? What are kind of the differences between those turbos?
The STR is short for stock turbo replacement, where it kind of bridges that gap between somebody who maybe has a stock turbo on their truck but doesn't want to commit or go to a 64 or maybe a 67. And this is, again, to kind of bridge that gap where I want to go above stock, but I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to lose drivability. I'm not building a race truck. I want something safe, efficient, reliable that maybe you can put with a smaller compound setup or you can tow with.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our customers, they do tow a lot. I mean, personally, I do tow a lot with my LLY, and I mean, a little bit more power to go with that would be great. But I'm also not looking to kind of upgrade my injectors and my CP3 pump at the same time. Kind of want to keep something that's nice and reliable, but also gets the job done every day when I need it to. So, I mean, I totally see where the benefit is here. I mean, there's a lot more guys that haven't upgraded their fuel injectors than have and have a 1,000 horsepower truck or whatnot. Um, and then this is still a stock replacement, but it is upgraded. What kind of power levels are you able to see out of this STR Turbo?
We have, and a lot of the testing was done on our engine dyno. So I have data that I will, forward over to you. You can share with, guys who are calling in, just share with the crew and things like that. But a lot of so to backtrack, the power numbers, the turbocharger can support 650 horsepower on our engine dyno. You factor that on a truck, you're going to lose a little bit. So we say roughly 600, maybe 620 is what you can expect to see out of the rear tires on a truck. Again, with supporting mods, things like a built trans, an intake, a couple other things here and there. But that's what we could expect to see for power out of the truck.
So that's really awesome. You guys have an engine dyno in-house that you guys are actually using to test everything. Can you give us a little insight into what the R&D process was for this turbo?
Yeah, absolutely. So we spent, oh God, the amount of hours I sat in the office hearing the engine dyno just scream downstairs. All of us were ready to build up a wall and build more insulation. And because of Nick and the guys in R&D, just, burn. It seemed like they're burning the motor down, which, I'll get to that. We actually lost a motor doing testing.
Oh,
We
wow.
had an LBZ engine dyno or engine that was on the dyno, and we tested our 64, we tested our 67, we did the STR just to kind of group all three chargers together, find out what spools up the quickest. How much airflow can this support? How much power can this turbocharger safely support? So, I mean, a lot of those tests were things that came into the spool up test. We have probably a dozen or so extra sensors on this motor for drive pressure, boost pressure. There's a lot of holes in the LBZ, or at least in that time frame where, from the factory they didn't have certain sensors. So we put in a dozen or so sensors to try to get different readings. We weren't short on challenges. We definitely ran into quite a few hiccups. You're developing a new product, things naturally are going to happen. The big thing was the motor. Motor let go. The one time we didn't have the camera rolling, the motor let go. We ended up having oil sprayed all over the walls, all over the floor. We have aftermath footage, but nothing of when it let go. And we went through at least a dozen iterations of the compressor wheel and the turbine before we settled on what you guys see now, where, okay, how many blades are we going to have? Are we going to go to our 11 blade like we have on the 64? Are we going to copy stock? We ended up going with a 7 blade. And then, okay, what kind of a turbine wheel are we going to have? Are we going to have super thick blades? Are we going to go super thin? What's the blade count? So, I mean, Nick and the guys in R&D and the turbo department, all hands were on deck for this development process where we kind of, spent hundreds of hours, if not more, on the engine dyno, of trying to figure out what works best. And then, translate that from the engine dyno onto a truck. And actually just got done driving one of our shop trucks that's an LBZ, coincidentally, that's got the STR in it. So all of us are kind of getting more seat time as well to take it to lunch and things like that.
That's really cool. Yeah, multiple people driving the trucks I think is super important. So it's not just like, oh yeah, I think it's supposed to drive like this, and then it ends up being a super laggy turbo. And
Yeah.
you guys have already done the engine dyno testing. Nick is one of the smartest people in the Duramax world that there is, especially when it comes to tuning and turbos. So I mean, there's no lack of knowledge going into this. And being able to test all that on the engine dyno, compare your STR, your 64, your 67, that's really cool. So you have a full lineup from the guy who's using his truck as a work truck to the guy who wants to make a lot more power with his truck too, but still have it be reliable. And I mean, getting into kind of what the different turbine and compressor wheels are, can you tell us a little bit about why you went with the ones you did, and kind of do they make it sound way cooler like a lot of the other aftermarket turbos do? I mean, that's one of the first things that people are going to be wondering. How does it actually sound?
It's got that distinct stealth sound, absolutely. So I've got a couple, bullet points as well. When it comes to, we'll start on the turbine. So the turbine is actually the physical blade height itself is 23% larger compared to stock. So yes, you might think, okay, there's more weight, but we actually have a specific material that we make it out of. So the turbine's lighter than stock, the compressor wheel's lighter than stock, and then that's going to translate into spool up. So it's actually spools 8% faster than stock. So for the guys who are thinking kind of the old school mentality of where you have S300s and S400s, okay, I'm putting a bigger turbo, it's going to be slower. Well, not necessarily. And that's part of the R&D process of, okay, we want to make this power. We want it to drive this way. How do we make it drive that way? What kind of material are we using on the turbine? What kind of material are we using on the compressor wheel? And then just, again, how do you group that all together and make it drive nice, package nice, and then drop right in and go, and again, have that nice sound that you're talking about as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I love hearing the sound of an aftermarket turbo. Eric has a Stealth Turbo on his LML,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, that thing sounds incredible. I mean, nothing really compares to that. It just gives it a whole nother feel when you're driving it, and it's not overly obnoxious either, so you can still tow with the truck, which is really nice.
Absolutely.
And then building on that, obviously, there's going to need to be some supporting mods. Do you need to tune your truck for this? Do you need an intake? What's the ideal like truck build for this Stealth STR Turbo?
The nice thing about this one is it's very broad, and I don't mean that in a cop out answer. It's in the sense of, if you are somebody who is broke down on the side of the road, your turbo let go, and you have nothing done. You have stock intake, stock trans, stock exhaust, all of that. This drops right in and goes. If you are someone like myself or yourself, or even Group Eric in there, where you've got some modifications, maybe I did build the trans, I did do an intake, it's going to work perfectly. In my perfect world of modifications, if you're doing a turbocharger, you got to take your up pipes off. I have never seen a turbo come out where the up pipe bolts didn't break. You're taking the down pipe off. Down pipes are a pain in the ass. You don't want to have to put a stock clamp down pipe. We've all seen those sandwich down pipes.
Hmm.
So for me, you don't have to do any modifications, which is super cool to run this charger. In a perfect world, I'd like to see a quality intake, up pipes, and a down pipe if you really want to get the full sound, the full airflow. Because again, this is moving quite a bit more airflow than stock. And to take advantage of that, that's usually what I'd recommend.
That's cool. And then, I mean, there's not much that you need to do, but you can upgrade it. It gives you room. So you have way more range even than the factory one, which is really nice because, I mean, a lot of guys will tune their truck, they'll max out that factory turbo and want more. And this is going to be the way to do that. And then if you pair that with your up pipes, manifolds, and down pipe, I mean, it's just going to be a whole nother ball game and sound just awesome. I mean, that's a really awesome turbo for the guys. I mean, it's all new to the market. I think it's a really good idea. Obviously, with the success of this turbo on the L5P platform, I'm excited to see it to the LML, and it sounds like it's coming to the rest of the trucks as well. It's always nice to have a really solid stock replacement turbo, but even have a little bit more room to tune it in the future. So that's super cool that you guys do that. When is this releasing?
So I have it for the VVTs right now. And then the LML, I'm sure by the time this airs, like I have them. Yeah, we haven't
Okay.
like kind of kicked the front door in, but I have them available. I can sell them. I've got plenty on the shelf. Again, with the success of the L5Ps in what the STR kind of name and reputation has kind of built itself on, we knew that this was going to be mayhem from the beginning. Where again, we're bridging that gap, so we have plenty of these on the shelf. And I've got the guys building them. It seems like every other day they're building a handful of them. So I've got them ready to go.
And so you guys build these in-house? I mean, I know I'm seeing a lot of pictures and videos of your guys' machine stuff. Can you tell us a little bit like about like the actual build process of a turbo?
Yeah. So the kind of the build process is we get raw materials in, we get, compressor covers, center sections, turbines or exhaust housings, all that stuff. And then they kind of slowly make their way down the assembly line. Some days we'll have, L5P center sections, LMLs and everything. So it starts with raw materials. They go to the machines. We have two guys who actually write programming for the CNC machines in the office, and they are just more or less locked in, writing the machines. And just making sure like, hey, the center sections have to have a specific cut so the turbine can fit on there. The backing plate has to have a specific cut. The compressor cover to fit the compressor wheel, can't have it too big, can't have it too small. So we've got a full-fledged operation like we have for years now. And it's just more or less trying to find the room to put these parts, introducing the chargers or the STRs into the lineup.
Yeah, definitely feel your pain there as far as where can we fit this stuff. I mean, these warehouses fill up quick, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, big time.
If you guys want to get yourself a Duramax Tuner Stealth STR Turbo that is made in-house by Duramax Tuner, you can head over to DmaxStore.com and we'd gladly get you guys an upgraded turbo for your LML Duramax.